Ancient temples were more than just holy places. They were complex machines for reading the stars. This journey uncovers how our ancestors built their understanding of the universe directly into stone. And by the end, you will see the night sky through the eyes of a forgotten civilization. We will explore why a massive pyramid might be perfectly aligned with a single star, and what secret calendar is hidden within a simple spiral carving. What part of our own world might future generations completely fail to understand? The same stars that guided ancient navigators also inspired the first great architects. Before a single stone was set, a grand celestial blueprint was drawn, not on parchment, but across the landscape itself. This was a world where the sky was not just observed, it was physically built into the earth. Imagine the most important stories your culture possesses, the tales of creation, of gods, and of the natural world. Now imagine writing those stories not with ink, but with multi-ton blocks of granite, aligning them so that once a year, the sunrise illuminates a specific chamber, or so a doorway frames the rising of a specific star cluster. This is the essence of the Cosmogram, a model of the universe made solid. As the renowned researcher Anthony Aveni explains, these structures were not merely buildings, they were the universe in miniature, anchoring an entire worldview in a physical, tangible form. The entire temple complex became a permanent record, a stone calendar that tracked the sun's journey at the solstices and equinoxes, or mirrored the belt of the constellation Orion in its layout. This created a sacred space that was both a spiritual gateway and a precise astronomical instrument. Why did cultures across the globe, from the deserts of Egypt to the jungles of Mesoamerica, share this profound need to build celestial mirrors? It speaks to a fundamental human desire to find our place in the cosmos, to root our fleeting lives within the grand, predictable cycles of the heavens. This universal drive to connect is the thread we will follow as we now turn to our first specific site, a place where this celestial blueprint was executed with breathtaking precision. High on a sun-baked cliff face in Choco Canyon, a silent drama unfolds once a year. A sliver of light, sharp as a blade, pierces the shadow and lands perfectly upon the center of a carved spiral. This is the Sun Dagger, a celestial timepiece crafted from rock and light by the ancestral Puebloans over 1,000 years ago. Its rediscovery in the 1970s by artist Anna Sofer completely transformed our understanding of this ancient culture. What appeared to be simple rock art was in fact an incredibly sophisticated astronomical instrument. 3 massive, carefully positioned stone slabs act as a natural lens, filtering the sun's rays to project distinct patterns of light and shadow onto the petroglyphs below. On the summer solstice, a single dagger of light bisects the large spiral. During the equinoxes, a band of light perfectly frames another, but the true marvel is its tracking of the moon. The same site also marks the extremes of the moon's slow, 18.6-year cycle, a feat that requires generations of meticulous sky watching. This was not just art, it was a living calendar etched in stone, governing the rhythms of planting, harvest, and sacred ceremony. The engineering precision is humbling. Without metal tools or written plans, these ancient astronomers manipulated multi-ton rocks with such exactitude that the sun and moon themselves became the moving parts of their clock. The knowledge required to align these stones so perfectly hints at a deep, sustained intellectual tradition, a school of sky watchers who passed their understanding down through countless lifetimes. This raises a poignant question. When the great houses of Choco Canyon were eventually abandoned, what vast chapters of this celestial knowledge were lost to time? The Sun Dagger stands as a powerful reminder that a society's scientific achievements are not always found in libraries, but are sometimes hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right light to reveal their true purpose. It challenges our very definition of primitiveness, urging us to look more carefully at the world's ancient stones. The ambition of Karnak dwarfs even the grandest modern cathedrals. Its central axis was not laid out for convenience, but for a singular celestial event. On the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, the rising sun would blaze directly down that avenue, its light traveling through shadowed halls to ignite the inner sanctuary where the statue of the god Amun-Ra resided. This was no accident of architecture. It was a deliberate, profound statement of belief, symbolizing the rebirth of the sun god, and by extension, the divine power of the pharaoh who served as his representative on earth. The entire complex was a machine for manifesting cosmic order, known to the Egyptians as Mat. Egyptologists such as Dr. Mark Lehner have demonstrated that this precise alignment was fundamental to the state religion. The king's authority was literally built upon the predictable, eternal cycles of the heavens. Every pillar in the sprawling hypostyle hall was positioned to cast specific shadows at different times, marking the hours and the seasons. The still waters of the sacred lake were not just for ritual cleansing, but acted as a mirror to the sky, allowing priests to observe the movements of stars and planets in reflection. This was a cosmology carved in stone, a universe in miniature designed to ensure the cosmos remained in harmony. The sheer scale and permanence of Karnak speaks to an obsession with immortality, not just for the individual soul, but for the entire civilization. They sought to anchor their world to the unchangeable rhythms of the sun and stars, believing that by replicating that order on Earth, their society would endure forever. This intricate weaving of astronomy into the very fabric of daily life and state power reveals a culture that saw no separation between the celestial and the terrestrial. It was all one continuous sacred reality, and as we will see, this same impulse to build in concert with the cosmos emerged independently in a civilization separated by an ocean, where a different kind of pyramid captured the descent of a feathered serpent. The precision of Karnak and the sun dagger did not spring from advanced optics, but from a masterful command of the naked eye. Across the ancient world, astronomers developed a sophisticated toolkit of simple instruments and relentless observation to decode the cosmos. They used the Greek dioptra, a sighting tube for measuring the angles between stars, and Maya priests employed cross staffs to meticulously plot the looping path of Venus. As scholar Clive Ruggles points out, this was not a quick endeavor. It demanded generations of patient data collection, where crucial knowledge about eclipse cycles and planetary conjunctions was woven into the fabric of oral traditions and sacred stories. The very landscape became their laboratory. A notch between two distant hills could serve as a permanent horizon marker, signaling the sun's turning point at a solstice. The first pre-dawn appearance of a star like Sirius, known as its heliacal rising, was a celestial alarm clock for planting or a flood season, an event so vital it would be institutionalized in a temple's very design. Inside those temples, a single beam of sunlight might be designed to strike a specific altar stone for only one day each year, turning the entire building into a massive calendar. How could such methods, devoid of any modern technology, achieve such stunning accuracy? The answer lies in a cumulative science built over centuries, where each generation added its own observations to a growing body of knowledge. This long-term perspective allowed them to perceive patterns in the sky that are invisible in a single human lifetime, like the moon's subtle 18-year cycle. Their toolkit was one of profound patience, a stark contrast to our rapid-fire data collection. It forces us to reconsider what true technological sophistication really means. Was it the invention of the lens, or was it the intellectual achievement of building a functioning cosmic engine from stone, shadow, and memory? This foundational ingenuity is what allowed them to engineer the temples we are only now learning to read, setting the stage for one of the greatest alignment mysteries ever discovered in the heart of a Mayan city. Deep within a grassy Irish mound, a 5,000-year-old corridor waits for a single dawn. For a few precious minutes around the winter solstice, a narrow beam of sunlight pierces the darkness, traveling down a 60-foot-long passage to flood the central chamber with golden light. This is Newgrange, a tomb constructed centuries before the Great Pyramid of Giza, and its purpose was far more than a resting place. It was a sophisticated machine designed to capture the moment of the sun's rebirth. The entire structure is meticulously engineered, featuring a special opening above the entrance known as a roof box. This stone-framed aperture acts like a camera shutter, allowing a concentrated shaft of light to penetrate deep into the heart of the mound at exactly the right time and angle. The archaeologist Professor Michael J. O'Kelly, who led the site's modern reconstruction, witnessed this event himself and confirmed its stunning precision. The builders possessed a profound understanding of the solar cycle, aligning tons of stone and earth to a horizon point they knew marked the year's turning point. This annual miracle of light, arriving in the depth of winter, almost certainly symbolized a powerful belief in renewal and the eternal cycle of life. What ceremonies took place in that illuminated chamber? We can only infer that this celestial event was woven into their understanding of existence, connecting the journey of the sun to the human experience of passing and legacy. Newgrange is a timeless testament to humanity's need to find hope in the heavens, to build markers that assure us the light will always return. Yet while the sun offered a daily rhythm, another celestial body presented a far more complex and mysterious pattern, one that required an entirely different kind of temple to unravel. While the sun's path was a story of reliable annual return, the moon was a tale of beautiful inconsistency. Its journey across the sky is far more complex than the sun's, governed by an 18.6-year cycle of subtle shifts known as the lunar standstill. This long rhythm, where the moon swings to its most extreme northern and southern rising points before slowly retreating, was a profound puzzle for ancient astronomers. Yet they not only solved it, they built the solution into their most sacred spaces, creating lunar temples that tracked a timescale spanning generations. The Great Mound of Knowth in Ireland, a neighbor to Newgrange, holds this secret. Its curbstones are carved with intricate spirals and lozenges, and researchers like Dr. Lionel Sims propose these are not mere decoration, but precise lunar maps and alignment markers. These lunar sites often carry a different energy than their solar counterparts. Where solar temples celebrate the brilliant, life-giving power of a masculine deity, lunar temples are frequently associated with darker, more enigmatic symbolism, connected to feminine goddesses, the deep mysteries of time, and the cyclical nature of life itself. This is visible even at the iconic Stonehenge. While its primary alignments are solar, certain stones and the Great Slaughter Stone are positioned to frame the moon's southernmost rising point, an event that only climaxes once every 18.6 years. To encode this into architecture required an unbroken chain of sky watchers, each generation adding their observations to a collective memory that would outlive them all. Why dedicate such immense effort to the moon? Its influence on tides, its connection to fertility cycles, and its ever-changing face made it a powerful symbol of transition, intuition, and the hidden forces governing the world. Building a temple to capture its longest rhythm was an act of faith in the future, a promise that knowledge would endure. This deep lunar devotion reveals a more patient and mysterious side of ancient science, one that sought to harmonize with the cosmos's most subtle pulses. And this quest for harmony reached its zenith in a single, magnificent structure that managed to unite the cycles of both the sun and the moon within one perfect geometric form. The limestone blocks of Mnajdra have witnessed more than 6,000 sunrises. On the Maltese Islands, these temples stand as a silent testament to a culture that mastered the sky long before the pyramids. During the equinox, the rising sun sends a blade of light directly through the main doorway, splitting the entrance with perfect symmetry. But the true genius of Mnajdra is its dual nature. At the solstices, the sun shifts its position, and on those mornings, its light enters through different, carefully crafted apertures in the megaliths, illuminating specific corners of the southern temple. The work of archaeoastronomer Dr. Frank Ventura reveals that this was no happy accident. The builders used the natural horizon and strategically placed stone slabs to create a complete solar calendar, marking the year's pivotal moments with unwavering accuracy. Even the complex dance of the moon was tracked within these sacred walls. How did a small, isolated island community develop such a comprehensive understanding of celestial mechanics? It suggests a deep, localized tradition of observation, a knowledge so vital it was literally set in stone to guide the community's seasonal rhythms, from planting to harvest to ceremony. The southern temple served as the heart of this system, its central axis aligned for the equinox sun while smaller chambers caught the solstice light, functioning as a grand, stone-built regulator of time itself. This integration of multiple celestial cycles into a single complex reveals a mind that saw the universe as an interconnected whole. The precision of Mnajdra challenges the idea that advanced astronomy was the sole property of vast empires. Here, on a small Mediterranean island, a community achieved a harmony of architecture and cosmos that would be echoed millennia later in the sprawling, planned metropolis of Teotihuacan. The entire city of Teotihuacan was a grand statement written in stone and aligned with the stars. Its central artery, the Street of the Dead, does not point north, south, east, or west in the conventional sense, but instead aligns directly with the setting point of the Pleiades star cluster. To the people who built this metropolis, this was no arbitrary choice. The Pleiades, known across many cultures, held profound significance, often linked to agricultural cycles and the calendar of life itself. This was urban planning on a cosmic scale, where the very grid of the city was a reflection of the celestial order. As scholar Paul Wheatley theorized, such ancient capitals were designed as axis mundi, the symbolic center of the world. They were places where the earthly and heavenly realms intersected, and their layout was a conscious act of bringing cosmic harmony down to earth. This principle is visible across the globe. In China, the Forbidden City of Beijing was meticulously planned according to astrological principles. Its gates and halls oriented to channel celestial energy and reinforce the emperor's mandate from heaven. These cities were not just places to live, they were instruments of statecraft. The wide processional avenues were not merely for parades, they were sightlines for celestial events, ensuring that the movements of the sun, moon, and stars were integrated into the daily rhythm of power. Market days, tax collection, and imperial coronations were all synchronized with the heavens, reinforcing a social hierarchy that was presented as a natural, divine extension of the cosmos. This holistic vision meant that every citizen, from the highest official to the simplest merchant, lived within a physical model of the universe, a constant reminder of their place within a larger, ordered system. It was a powerful way to maintain stability and control, grounding political authority in the unchangeable laws of the sky. This deep integration of astronomy and urban design reveals a world where the cosmos was not a distant abstraction, but the ultimate blueprint for civilization itself. And this same meticulous attention was paid not just to stars and cities, but to the wanderers of the sky, the planets, leading to the creation of a temple dedicated to one of the most brilliant and mysterious of them all. Venus demanded a temple of its own at Uxmal. The governor's palace, a sprawling structure atop a massive platform, is not aligned to the cardinal directions. Instead, its central doorway points toward the southernmost rising point of Venus, the planet the Maya knew as Chak-Ek, the Great Star. This was no mere decoration. The entire facade is a cosmic text, its intricate stone mosaics and rows of hundreds of precisely placed columns forming a grand astronomical instrument. Mayanist John B. Carlson demonstrated that the architecture here is a physical expression of the Venus tables found in the Dresden Codex, one of the few surviving Maya books. These tables track the planet's 584-day synodic cycle with breathtaking accuracy, predicting its appearances as the morning and evening star. But why was this specific alignment so critical? For the Maya, Venus was a celestial embodiment of their god Kukulkan, the feathered serpent, a deity of both creation and conflict. The planet's dramatic cycles, vanishing and reappearing in the sky, were seen as powerful omens. Its first appearance after a period of invisibility could signal a time for warfare or the coronation of a new ruler. The long platform in front of the palace creates a perfect sightline for priests to watch the horizon, marking the exact spot where Venus would return at the peak of its southern swing. This knowledge was power, allowing the ruling class to claim a direct connection to the celestial forces that governed life and death. The architecture itself became a form of statecraft, a permanent declaration that the king's authority was written in the stars. How did different cultures interpret the very same planet? While the Maya saw a warlord, other civilizations saw a goddess of love. This reveals a profound truth about our ancestors. They did not just observe the sky, they infused it with their deepest beliefs, fears, and aspirations, building their understanding of the cosmos directly into the stones of their greatest cities. The celestial stage was the same for every civilization, but the stories they saw written there were profoundly their own. A single star pattern, the three bright stars of Orion's belt, served as a cosmic screen onto which cultures projected their deepest beliefs. For the ancient Egyptians, these stars were the backbone of Osiris, the god of the afterlife, and they mirrored this divine form on the ground with the three great pyramids of Giza, constructing a gateway to eternity in stone. Far across the world, the Maya looked upon that same trio of stars and saw not a god, but a celestial turtle, its shell a symbol of the earth and the cosmos. In the traditions of Aboriginal Australians, the stars of Orion were a group of young men dancing a corroboree, a sacred ceremony of story and song. As the scholar of mythology Joseph Campbell observed, these diverse stories often circle back to universal human themes: the hero's journey, the mystery of death, and the hope of rebirth, all narrated by the constant stars. This profound diversity is etched into the very alignment of temples. A Greek sanctuary might be oriented toward the heliacal rising of Sirius, the dog star, whose appearance signaled the coming of the hot, dry summer. Meanwhile, on remote Pacific islands, Polynesian navigators built simple yet profound stone platforms and star compasses. These were not temples in the classical sense, but sacred spaces of practical knowledge, allowing voyagers to read the stars as a map to navigate the vast, empty ocean. So what shaped these radically different interpretations? The local environment was a powerful force. A desert culture, dependent on the sun's harsh cycle, would build solar calendars into their architecture. A maritime society, like the Polynesians, would naturally deify the stars that guided them to new lands. Social structure and religious beliefs further refined the lens. A hierarchical empire like Egypt saw a celestial pharaoh in the sun, while a culture with a strong shamanic tradition might see the moon as a guide for spiritual journeys. This incredible tapestry of celestial meaning shows us that our ancestors were not just passive observers of the heavens. They were active participants in a cosmic dialogue, using the same raw data of starlight to write unique stories about who they were and their place in the universe. The true wonder lies not in the stars themselves, but in the breathtaking human creativity they inspired. a creativity that makes the eventual silencing of this celestial conversation all the more profound. But the celestial clocks eventually stopped. The precise alignments of these ancient temples, once so vital, faded into obscurity. This great forgetting did not happen overnight, but was a slow unraveling caused by societal collapse, religious transformation, and a fundamental shift in how knowledge itself was preserved. When great empires like the Maya or the Roman fell into decline, the specialized priestly classes who held the keys to celestial cycles were scattered. Their intricate understanding of lunar standstills and planetary cycles, often passed down through oral tradition, simply vanished when that chain was broken. Historian James Burke notes a critical pattern. As societies grow more complex, vital knowledge becomes concentrated in the hands of a few, making it profoundly vulnerable. A single library burning, or a generation of elders lost to hardship, could erase centuries of accumulated wisdom. The original purpose of a structure like Stonehenge was completely lost for centuries, its magnificent stones later explained away as the work of mythical giants or mere monuments to forgotten kings. The arrival of new religions often accelerated this process, as incoming belief systems would frequently suppress or deliberately reinterpret the old cosmologies. A temple aligned to a solstice sun might be rededicated to a new saint, its astronomical function slowly fading from memory until only the spiritual shell remained. Perhaps the most subtle change was the move to written records. While writing preserves information, it can also divorce knowledge from its physical context. The reason why a stone was placed in a specific spot, the lived experience of watching a solstice shadow crawl across a carved spiral, these nuances are rarely captured in a text. The deep, embodied connection between the landscape, the architecture, and the sky was severed. This historical amnesia holds a stark lesson for our own civilization. We are building a world of immense technological sophistication, yet our knowledge is now concentrated in digital formats and specialized systems that could become as unreadable as a Mayan codex to a future society. Our cloud storage and servers are the modern equivalent of those vulnerable libraries of Alexandria. What parts of our understanding of the universe might be lost in another great forgetting? This very question fuels the modern quest to reclaim what was lost, using a new generation of tools to peer into the past and read the intentions of the ancient builders once more. Deep within a solid mountain, the sun performs a miracle on a precise schedule. Twice each year, the dawn light abandons its gentle morning glow and transforms into a laser, cutting 60 meters through the shadowed halls of Abu Simbel to strike the inner sanctuary. There it illuminates 3 of the 4 seated statues, bathing the figures of the sun god Ra, the creator god Ammon, and the deified pharaoh Ramses II in brilliant light. Only the statue of Ptah, the god of the eternal darkness of the underworld, remains shrouded in shadow, untouched by the sun's ray. This was not a happy accident of architecture. The entire temple complex was carved directly into the cliff face during the 13th century before the Common Era with this single, spectacular effect in mind. Modern Egyptologists, including Dr. Labib Habachi, have confirmed that these 2 dates were the pharaoh's birthday and his coronation day. The alignment served as an annual, undeniable proclamation that the king's earthly power was directly sanctioned by the celestial forces. The sheer engineering audacity is staggering. To achieve this, ancient architects had to calculate the exact angle of the sun's path, what we call the ecliptic, for 2 specific days of the year, and then carve a tunnel through living rock with the precision of a modern optical instrument. This was astronomy weaponized for statecraft. Every peasant or noble who witnessed that beam of light connecting the sun to their king received a powerful lesson. The pharaoh was not just a man, he was a part of the cosmic order itself. His rule was as inevitable and radiant as the sunrise. This grand spectacle connects to a universal pattern we have seen across the ancient world. where rulers used the predictable heavens to legitimize their unpredictable authority. They built their power not just on armies and taxes, but on the very movements of the sun and stars, creating a reality where to challenge the king was to challenge the universe. This intellectual elite formed the living brain of the celestial temple. They were the ones who knew precisely which stone to stand behind to watch the Pleiades rise, or which altar would be touched by the solstice sun. In Mesopotamia, the Chaldeans meticulously recorded the movements of planets on clay tablets, seeing in their looping paths the intentions of the gods. A deviation from the predicted celestial order, like an unexpected eclipse, was not a scientific anomaly but a state emergency, a sign that the king had lost divine favor. The ruler was utterly dependent on his astronomers to read these signs and prescribe the correct rituals to restore cosmic balance. This was a science deeply intertwined with statecraft, where the ability to predict a celestial event was indistinguishable from the power to control human destiny. The Maya Day Keepers, or Ajkayin, underwent decades of training to internalize the complex interlocking cycles of their calendar, a system so vast it could track time for millions of years. They performed bloodletting rituals at key planetary alignments, believing their personal sacrifice would nourish the gods and keep the cosmic machinery turning. This knowledge was not for public consumption, it was a sacred trust and a source of immense political leverage. How did this concentration of expertise affect the wider society? It created a powerful hierarchy where the ruler and the priestly class held a monopoly on the most important knowledge of all, the blueprint of time itself. The average farmer knew to plant when the priests declared, but not the complex lunar and planetary math that informed that declaration. This specialization was both a strength and a profound vulnerability. The stunning accuracy of ancient astronomy came at a social cost. It relied on a system where critical understanding was held by a very few. When that chain was broken through conquest, famine, or religious change, the knowledge simply evaporated. We are left with the silent stones, the magnificent shell of a complex intellectual organism that has long since vanished. The stone circles of Göbekli Tepe are a whisper from the very dawn of civilization. Carved over 11,000 years ago by hunter-gatherers, these massive T-shaped pillars stand in silent enclosures, their surfaces alive with bas-reliefs of scorpions, foxes, and birds. For decades, their purpose was a profound mystery. Why would nomadic peoples who had not yet invented pottery or farming expend such colossal effort to erect these structures? The answer may be written in the stars. Researchers like Dr. Martin Sweatman have analyzed the orientations of these pillars and the animal symbols carved upon them, proposing a startling theory. The creatures are not merely decorative. They may represent specific constellations as they appeared in the night sky more than 100 centuries ago. A scorpion could map to Scorpius, a bird to the constellation we know as Sagittarius, transforming each stone enclosure into a star shrine. The very layout of these enclosures appears to be aligned with the rising of significant stars such as Sirius, creating a permanent horizon calendar for people who lived by the rhythms of nature. This suggests that organized religion and systematic astronomy did not emerge after agriculture, but may have been the very catalyst for it. The need to gather at precise times for celestial events to maintain these sacred spaces could have provided the impetus for a more settled, cooperative way of life. Göbekli Tepe forces a complete rethinking of our own history. It pushes the origins of astronomical temple building back by millennia, revealing a primordial connection between human spirituality, societal organization, and the stars that is far older and more profound than we ever imagined. What other secrets from this lost age of star watchers remain buried beneath the Anatolian soil? That same star cluster, seen by the Egyptians as Osiris, was a celestial hunter to the Greeks, forever pursued by a scorpion. This was not just a pretty story, it was a cosmic map of conflict and balance, a narrative that the Greeks may have literally set in stone. The spatial relationship between two temples, perhaps one dedicated to Artemis, the huntress linked to Orion, and another to Ares, a god associated with the scorpion's aggression, could mirror the eternal chase across the heavens. This is the deeper layer of the celestial temple, where mythology provides the key to unlock alignments that seem to have no practical, observational purpose. Comparative religion scholar Mircea Eliade described these sacred spaces as axis mundi, points where heaven and earth met, and where mythic time became accessible. During a specific ritual, when the constellation Orion culminated directly over its associated temple, the story was not just remembered, it was relived. The boundary between the present moment and the primordial event blurred, charging the ceremony with immense spiritual power. Nowhere is this cosmological mapping more explicit than in the design of the Hindu temple. Its layout follows the Vastu Purusha mandala, a complex diagram that is simultaneously a map of the universe, a plan for a town, and the body of a cosmic being. Each section of the temple is assigned to a specific deity, who in turn governs a cardinal direction and often a celestial body. The central spire, the Shikara, does not merely point upward, it represents the world axis, the Mount Meru of Hindu cosmology, connecting the earthly realm directly to the abode of the gods. So how does this mythological lens change our interpretation? A corridor aligning to a star might not be a sightline for an astronomer priest, but the physical path of a deity traveling from the heavens to their earthly home. An off-axis chamber might house a statue of a goddess associated with the planet Venus, not to observe it, but to embody its essence. This symbolic language adds a rich, emotional dimension to the cold mathematics of alignments. It transforms a temple from a sophisticated observatory into a living, breathing universe in miniature, where every pilgrim could walk through the cosmic order and touch the stories that gave their world meaning. The stones themselves became a language speaking of gods, heroes, and the eternal cycles written in the stars. The building itself is a question carved in stone. El Caracol at Chichen Itza stands apart from the rigid pyramids, its unique round tower rising like a snail's shell from a crumbling platform. Within this shell, a narrow, tube-like window served as a celestial gun sight, perfectly aligned to capture the setting sun on the equinoxes. But this was just the beginning of its purpose. Other carefully placed apertures were not aimed at the sun, but at the brilliant wanderer Venus. The work of archaeoastronomer Anthony Aveni reveals that the entire structure was a sophisticated instrument, its sight lines mapping the planet's most extreme northern and southern setting points on the horizon. The building's circular form was not an aesthetic choice, but a functional one, allowing priest astronomers to make precise observations from multiple angles within a single, compact space. They even tracked the sun's zenith passage, the 2 days each year when it cast no shadow at all, a critical event for a culture whose agriculture depended on the rains that followed. So why dedicate such a complex building to a single planet? For the Maya, Venus was Chak Ek, a deity whose movements were fraught with meaning. Its first appearance as the morning star after a period of invisibility was seen as a potent and often dangerous omen. The detailed records kept within El Caracol, which correlate with the famed Dresden Codex Venus tables, gave the ruling class a powerful tool. They could schedule martial campaigns or royal coronations to coincide with these celestial events, claiming the planet's influence for their own ends. This was more than science, it was statecraft written in the movements of the heavens. The observatory represents the ultimate fusion of Maya intellectual achievement, a place where architecture became a living conduit between the cosmos and the king's court. This drive to build cosmic order into the very heart of civilization was not confined to Mesoamerica, as a similar ambition was taking shape high in the Andes, where an entire city was aligned to the very fabric of the universe. High in the thin air of the Andes, a completely different sky dictated the design of an empire. The Inca and their predecessors lived beneath a celestial river, the Milky Way, which they saw not as a faint band of light, but as Vilcanota, a vast, life-giving stream flowing through the heavens. Their temples and cities were built to mirror this cosmic waterway, anchoring their world to its luminous path. At the lost city of Machu Picchu, this connection is carved in stone. The Intihuatana, or hitching post of the sun, is a precisely shaped granite pillar rising from a ritual platform. It was not a simple sundial, but a sophisticated instrument designed to capture the sun at its most critical moments. During the June solstice, the shortest day of the year in the southern hemisphere, priests would perform ceremonies to symbolically tether the sun to this stone, preventing it from continuing its journey north and ensuring its vital return. The entire sacred district of Machu Picchu is a celestial map. The Temple of the Sun is aligned so the solstice sunrise shines directly into its central window, while the nearby Temple of the Three Windows frames the rising of the Southern Cross, a constellation of profound importance that never dips below their horizon. This was a cosmology built for the mountains. As anthropologist Dr. Brian Bauer has detailed, the Inca capital of Cusco was the center of a sprawling spiritual and astronomical web known as the Sec system. Hundreds of sacred lines, or secs, radiated out from the city's central temple, connecting it to thousands of huacas, or shrines, scattered across the landscape. Each huaca was linked to a specific celestial body or event, from a mountain peak marking the rise of the Pleiades to a spring that reflected the full moon. This system was a physical calendar governing the intricate schedule of rituals, agricultural cycles, and social obligations for the entire empire. The appearance of the Pleiades cluster in the pre-dawn sky was a moment of intense anticipation. Its brightness and clarity were believed to predict the quality of the coming rainy season, dictating when to plant the vital quinoa and potato crops. This knowledge was not abstract. It was built directly into the land itself, with agricultural terraces and temple orientations serving as permanent reminders of the bond between the stars and survival. How did the unique features of this southern sky shape their world? It fostered a religion of intimate reciprocity, where human activity was a direct response to the messages written in the stars. Their architecture was not an attempt to conquer the cosmos, but to harmonize with it, weaving the celestial river and the mountain peaks into a single, seamless tapestry of meaning. This Andean vision underscores a profound truth, that the cosmic conversation was never a single monologue, but a chorus of diverse voices, each adapting the universal language of the stars to the specific rhythm of their own world. A single beam of sunlight pierces a precisely carved window in the Torreon, striking a ceremonial granite altar at the heart of the Temple of the Sun. This moment, frozen in stone at Machu Picchu, was the Inca Empire's annual declaration of order. The entire structure, built around the year 1450 without a drop of mortar, is a locked vault of celestial knowledge. Its stones fit together so perfectly that the solstice alignment, calculated over 5 centuries ago, remains true to within a fraction of a degree today. But the window's purpose was not merely to admit light. It was a frame for a sacred conversation, aligning the rising solstice sun with distant, snow-capped mountain peaks the Inca revered as Apu's living mountain spirits. As explorer and anthropologist Dr. Johann Reinhard has argued, this was a profound triangulation of power: the sun god in Tai, the divine emperor in Cusco, and the Apus of the surrounding Andes were all linked in a single, undeniable line of sight. The solstice ceremony performed here was not just a ritual, it was the annual reboot of the empire's covenant with the cosmos, ensuring the sun's return and the continuation of the seasons that fed their terraced farms. So why place this crucial instrument in such a remote and breathtakingly dramatic location? Machu Picchu was not a city in the conventional sense, but a royal estate and a sanctuary. Its very inaccessibility heightened its sacredness, lifting it above the mundane world and placing it closer to the heavens. This was a landscape chosen not for convenience, but for its power to embody a spiritual truth that the celestial and the earthly were one seamless reality. The Inca did not build to conquer their environment, but to harmonize with it, weaving their architecture into the existing tapestry of mountain, river, and sky. This holistic vision, where every stone and peak held meaning, represents a pinnacle of cosmic integration, a way of seeing the world that would soon face an existential challenge from across the ocean. A Spanish friar in the 16th century gazed upon a Maya pyramid and saw only a monument to pagan darkness. He meticulously recorded its dimensions, yet remained utterly blind to the celestial clockwork it embodied. This was a fundamental collision of worlds, not just of armies but of cosmologies. When European colonizers arrived in the Americas, they brought with them a rigid framework of religion and a nascent scientific model that left no room for indigenous intellectual achievement. Local astronomical knowledge was systematically dismissed as superstition or demonic idolatry. Spanish chroniclers wrote detailed accounts of the towering structures they encountered, but their interpretations consistently missed the mark. They saw temples dedicated to bloodthirsty gods, but failed to comprehend the sophisticated calendars, the precise planetary tracking, and the complex mythology encoded in their alignments. As historian Anthony Aveni has extensively documented, this cultural clash had devastating consequences. Priceless codices, the written libraries of Maya science, were burned by the thousands. The intricate oral traditions that held the keys to lunar cycles and eclipse predictions were suppressed, their keepers silenced. In their place, a European astronomical model, based on a geocentric universe and a different set of mythological figures, was imposed as the one true science. In some instances, indigenous knowledge was not destroyed but assimilated, its symbols and dates woven into the fabric of new Christian holidays. Yet this process of transformation often erased the original intent, leaving the silent stones stripped of their true meaning. How then do we approach these sites today, knowing that our very frame of reference might be a legacy of this historical violence? This recognition adds a profound layer of tragedy to the quest for understanding. It forces modern researchers to proceed with humility, acknowledging that our interpretations are filtered through a lens of colonial disruption. The ethical path forward now emphasizes collaborative, respectful research that actively seeks out and elevates indigenous perspectives, treating these temples not as ruined puzzles to be solved by outsiders, but as living cultural heritage whose deepest secrets belong to the descendants of their builders. This shift in approach is not just about historical accuracy, it is an act of cultural restoration, a small step toward mending a great tear in the human story. The power of the Oracle of Delphi was not derived solely from the vapors of the earth, but perhaps also from the timing of the stars. High on the slopes of Mount Parnassus, this sanctuary was the spiritual heart of the ancient Greek world, a place where kings and commoners alike sought guidance for everything from founding colonies to waging war. While the Pythia, the priestess who delivered the prophecies, is famously associated with chthonic forces, the entire sanctuary may have been aligned with a celestial schedule. Classical scholar Dr. Robert Hanna points to the temple's orientation and the calendar of its major festivals, suggesting a deep connection to the Pleiades star cluster. The heliacal rising of these stars in May, their first appearance in the dawn sky after a period of invisibility, coincided precisely with the opening of the Mediterranean sailing season and the beginning of the 9-month period when the oracle was most active. This was no mere coincidence. In the Greek mind, the Pleiades were intrinsically linked to themes of navigation, fertility, and renewal. Their annual return signaled a time of new beginnings, a potent moment to seek divine counsel for the journeys and endeavors of the coming year. So how did this celestial rhythm influence the oracle's pronouncements? The very timing of consultations may have been a form of astronomical observation, channeling the perceived power of the stars into the ritual of divination. A question posed as the Pleiades rose would carry a different weight, a different cosmic endorsement than one asked at another time. This intertwining of celestial omens and earthly prophecy reveals that for the Greeks, astronomy was not a separate science. It was the essential backdrop against which all human affairs, from the most personal decisions to the grand machinations of state, were measured and understood. The voice of the oracle and the silent passage of the stars were two parts of the same divine conversation, a reminder that even the most enigmatic aspects of ancient life were often choreographed by the heavens. A silent revolution is now unfolding within these ancient ruins, one powered by lasers and algorithms. The same stones that have guarded their secrets for millennia are finally beginning to speak, translated by a suite of modern technologies. Archaeoastronomers are now equipped with tools that would seem like magic to the original builders. Three-dimensional laser scanners map every crack and contour of a temple with millimeter precision, creating a perfect digital twin. High-resolution drone photography captures the grand layout of a site from above, revealing alignments that are invisible from the ground. Perhaps the most powerful tool is software like Stellarium, which allows researchers to rewind the sky. They can dial back the clock thousands of years, accounting for the slow wobble of Earth's axis known as precession, to see the exact stars that rose over a temple's doorway on the day it was consecrated. Pioneers like Dr. Giulio Magli used these digital planetariums to test long-held hypotheses. Was this Mayan pyramid aligned with the setting sun on the equinox? Did this corridor frame the rising of the star Sirius? The software provides a definitive mathematical answer, often confirming astronomical intentions that were once dismissed as coincidence. Beyond the visible structures, other technologies peer into the Earth itself. Ground-penetrating radar sends pulses deep into the soil, mapping buried foundations and plazas that formed part of a larger celestial complex. Meanwhile, LiDAR, which uses laser pulses from an aircraft to strip away the forest canopy, has been a game-changer. In the dense jungles of Central America, LiDAR has revealed vast networks of causeways, residential compounds, and hidden pyramids, all arranged in relation to the surrounding landscape and the sky. These discoveries show that what we thought was an isolated temple was often just one piece of a sprawling, cosmologically ordered city. How is this technological revolution reshaping our view of the past? It is fundamentally challenging old assumptions about ancient capabilities. We are learning that their astronomical knowledge was often more precise, and their landscape engineering more ambitious than we ever credited them with. Each digital confirmation forces us to replace the word primitive with sophisticated. These modern methods are not just revealing answers, they are unveiling deeper, more complex mysteries. They are the master keys, patiently turning the locks on a silent language of stone, allowing us to recover a legacy of cosmic wisdom once thought lost forever. The sprawling stone mandala of Angkor Wat was built to capture the entire cosmos in a single, breathtaking glance. Its central towers rise like the peaks of Mount Meru, the mythical axis of the world in Hindu belief, while the vast moat represents the cosmic ocean encircling creation. This was not merely a temple, it was a scale model of the universe designed to channel divine order into the realm of humanity, the work of scholars like Dr. Elena Manica reveals that this sacred geometry is also precise astronomy. The entire complex is aligned along an east-west axis with such accuracy that on the morning of the spring equinox, the the sun rises in perfect alignment over the central lotus tower, an event that draws thousands of witnesses even today. This alignment was a deliberate calibration, ensuring the stone universe of Angkor Wat resonated in harmony with the celestial one. But the temple holds a deeper mystery. Its main entrance faces west, an orientation highly unusual for a temple dedicated to the god Vishnu. This western gate may be a profound statement linking the king who commissioned it, Suryavarman II, to the setting sun and themes of divine legacy, suggesting the entire structure served as his gateway to joining the gods. The sheer scale of this project is almost incomprehensible, requiring the labor of hundreds of thousands and the movement of millions of stone blocks, all to create a permanent, functioning cosmogram. What does this staggering investment reveal about the Khmer Empire? It tells us that their king's authority was not just political, it was cosmological. His power was presented as a natural, indivisible part of the universal structure, with the temple's alignment serving as perpetual proof. This fusion of astronomy, religion, and royal identity created a world where to question the king was to question the very order of the sun and stars. Yet for all its grandeur, this cosmic vision was ultimately built for people. The long bas-relief galleries depicting churning oceans and celestial dancers were not just for gods, but for pilgrims to walk through, physically immersing themselves in the story of creation. This invites a deeply personal question. How would your understanding of the world change if you could walk through a map of the universe every single day? Angkor Wat stands as the ultimate expression of a universal human desire to build heaven on earth and to find our small, fleeting lives reflected in the eternal dance of the stars. The celestial clockwork of the temples was not just for kings and priests, it was the very pulse of daily existence. For a farmer in ancient Egypt, the year did not begin with a date on a page, but with a star. The first pre-dawn glimmer of Sirius on the horizon was a moment of profound anticipation, a celestial signal that the Nile's life-giving flood was imminent. This single astronomical event dictated when to move livestock, when to repair canals, and ultimately whether the community would eat in the coming year. In Mesopotamia, the entire rhythm of commerce and law was governed by the moon. A new month began not at midnight, but with the first sighting of the crescent moon, setting the schedule for market days, the repayment of debts, and the start of legal contracts. Your personal obligations were literally written in the stars. This deep integration is what anthropologist Stanley Tambaya called cosmological resonance, the idea that individuals saw the grand patterns of the cosmos reflected in their own small lives. A temple ritual performed at the solstice was not a distant spectacle. It was a collective act that realigned the entire community with the universal order. This belief extended to the most personal milestones. The birth of a child might be recorded alongside the position of Jupiter, believed to influence their destiny. A merchant would consult a priest before a long journey, seeking a day when Venus, as the morning star, promised safe passage. Your fate was not a matter of random chance, it was a thread woven into the great celestial tapestry. How did it feel to live within such a world? Every sunrise was a reaffirmation of cosmic balance, every lunar phase a reminder of life cycles. This pervasive celestial consciousness offered a powerful sense of place and purpose. The anxiety of an unpredictable world was softened by the knowledge that the heavens moved with an eternal, predictable rhythm. To align one's life with that rhythm was to find harmony. This understanding breathes humanity into the silent stones, transforming them from cold monuments into the backdrop of countless human stories. The farmer watching for Sirius, the couple marrying under a favorable constellation, the child learning the star stories of their ancestors, these were the true heirs of the celestial temples. Their lives were the ultimate expression of a philosophy that saw no separation between the human heart and the cosmos above. The ceiling of the Temple of Hathor at Dendera is a frozen sky. Carved into its stone is a complete celestial map, a breathtakingly intricate zodiac that merges the constellations of Egyptian tradition with the figures of Greek astronomy. This great disk, now housed in the Louvre, was created around 50 years before the Common Era, and it presents the cosmos as a perfect circle of gods, animals, and symbols. It rests within a temple dedicated to the goddess of love and music, a space where the rhythms of the heavens were believed to mirror the harmonies of life itself. Researchers such as Dr. Sylvie Coville have shown that this zodiac was far more than a decorative chart. The entire temple is a working model of the sky, its axis and internal chambers aligned with the cyclical appearances of the star Sirius and the decans, the 36 star groups the Egyptians used as a celestial clock to mark the hours of the night. The presence of this Greco-Roman zodiac in an Egyptian sacred space speaks of a remarkable moment of cultural fusion. It was a period when foreign astronomical knowledge was not rejected, but was instead woven into the ancient fabric of local belief, creating a new, hybrid understanding of the universe. So why place this detailed cosmic map on a ceiling where it could only be seen by those permitted inside the temple's deepest parts? This was not a public planetarium. Its location suggests a profound initiatory purpose, perhaps used to guide priests through rituals that reenacted the soul's journey through the constellations, or to mark the passage of an individual through symbolic stages of spiritual awakening. Mnajdra offers a rare window into a world where knowledge was not static but fluid, evolving through contact and exchange. It reminds us that our maps of the heavens have always been shaped by the meeting of different worlds, a conversation in stone between the old gods and the new stars. A star that guided a temple's construction 5,000 years ago would today be a complete stranger to its stones. This silent drift is the work of precession, a slow wobble in Earth rotation that completes a single cycle every 26,000 years. Like a spinning top slowly tracing a circle, our planet's axis itself gradually shifts, causing the entire backdrop of stars to slip over the centuries. The solstice points, those critical markers of the sun's journey, migrate along the horizon at a glacial pace. This means the celestial stage is never truly static, and the perfect alignment between a doorway and a star is a relationship with an expiration date. The ancient Greek astronomer Hipparchus is credited with identifying this shift in the 2nd century before the Common Era by comparing his own star charts with those from generations past. But was he truly the first? Egyptologist Dr. Jane B. Sellers makes a compelling case that much older civilizations were acutely aware of this cosmic recalibration. She suggests that certain myths, like the Egyptian story where the goddess Hathor is sent to destroy a humanity that has forgotten its place, are not just tales of divine anger. They may be allegorical records of a sky that was slowly falling out of sync, a terrifying celestial unraveling that threatened to invalidate their entire calendar and their covenant with the gods. When a star that once heralded the flood fails to appear on time, it is not just an astronomical event, it is a spiritual and societal crisis. So how do we, as modern investigators, account for this imperceptible drift? We use sophisticated software to digitally rewind the sky, inputting the exact year a temple was raised to see the heavens as its builders did. This process of processing back often reveals the true celestial target, a star or constellation that has long since wandered from the sightline, restoring the original intention lost to the ages. This forces a humbling question. How did cultures without written records spanning millennia even perceive a change that takes centuries to become apparent? The answer may lie in the sheer longevity of their traditions. A priestly class passing down knowledge for 50 generations would possess a living memory of the sky's slow dance, noticing subtle shifts in horizon points that would be invisible in a single lifetime. Their monuments were not built for the present but for a future they would never see, an act of faith in the continuity of knowledge itself. Grappling with precession reveals the most profound aspect of ancient astronomy, a perspective that measured time not in years but in the patient turning of the great celestial wheel. Sunlight did not merely fall upon the altar at Abu Ghurab, it was channeled. The entire temple was engineered as a solar conduit, a long, narrow corridor designed to focus the sun's power at its annual peak. On the summer solstice, the rays would blaze down this stone pathway to strike a central altar made of gleaming alabaster, a stone chosen for its ability to hold and magnify light. This altar was not a simple block, it was carved into the shape of the hieroglyph for horizon, the place where the sun god Ra was reborn each day, as Egyptologist Dr. Miroslav Werner explains, this was the heart of a royal cult that positioned the pharaoh as the sole intermediary between the people and the solar deity. The entire ritual, timed with celestial precision, was a performance of divine power, demonstrating the king's unique ability to harness the sun's life-giving energy for the benefit of the entire kingdom. Why did this intense solar devotion erupt so prominently during the 5th dynasty? The answer lies in a fundamental shift in Egyptian theology, where the cult of Ra temporarily eclipsed even the traditional worship of Osiris, god of the afterlife. The pharaohs of this era literally embedded their names within the sun temples, building their legacy directly into the solar cycle. Yet this grand focus on the sun was surprisingly fleeting. Within a few generations, these temples were largely abandoned, their precise alignments left to the desert. The rise and fall of Abu Ghurab reveals a profound truth, that a civilization's cosmic priorities are never set in stone. Political rivalries, evolving religious ideas, and the simple cost of maintaining such specialized structures all contributed to the Sun Temple's decline. The celestial conversation continued, but the stage had changed, moving from the stark, open courtyards dedicated to Ra back to the shadowed, subterranean tombs of the Valley of the Kings. This constant evolution asks us a poignant question about our own monuments. Which of our grandest structures, built to embody our most cherished ideals, might future generations find equally mysterious and abandoned? Our journey ends not with a final answer, but with a renewed sense of wonder. These stone conversations with the cosmos reveal a universal human impulse, a drive to build meaning directly into the landscape. The solar precision of Karnak and the lunar complexity of Mnajdra were not isolated miracles, but part of a global language written in alignments and shadows. These temples were the original universities and timekeepers, their silent stones holding the accumulated wisdom of generations who looked up and dared to map the heavens. This rediscovery fundamentally reframes our ancestors, transforming them from primitive figures into meticulous scientists and profound philosophers of the natural world. They were architects of cosmic order, seeking to anchor their fleeting existence to the eternal rhythms of the sun, moon, and stars. Modern technology, from laser scanners to digital planetariums, is now the key that unlocks their silent language, allowing us to recover a lost chapter of human intelligence. It is a chapter that speaks directly to our own enduring quest to find our place in the vastness of the universe. So the next time you look up at the night sky, remember that you are seeing the very same stars that guided the builders of Newgrange and the astronomers of Uxmal. Let that connection inspire you. We would love to hear which of these lost temples captures your imagination the most, so please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the mysteries of our past, subscribe for more explorations. And always remember, the ancient stones still have stories to tell, if only we know how to listen.